One of the things Dr. Buss talks about in his books is this concept where you have to get a drink, because I said Dr. Buss. One of the things he talks about in his books is as men gain more advantage, more leverage in the sexual dating, in the sexual marketplace, then women will lose and vice versa. And that's what we see a lot of times. If you listen to a bunch of men give other men really good advice on how to make women attracted to them, to the normal public, it's going to sound toxic 100% of the time. And if you gave a bunch of women the opportunity to explain to other women how to go ahead and take advantage of men, you listen to Cardi B, you know, I don't cook, I don't clean, whatever. If you listen to that, it's always going to sound offensive to us. The difference is societally, it's not that bad. If women warn other women about men, that podcast is awarded. And if men warn other men about women, then all of a sudden they're considered to be misogynist.
You might end up in a jail.
For sure. Exactly.
Yeah. And all the men that don't understand women, they all call us crazy too. They're like, that's not what women like. They like this. But there's these dudes that they don't get the women.
But here's the differences in that is, if like what he says before about having boundaries. If you do that, then this weird thing that happens to you, maybe it's when you're in your teens or your 20s or whatever, or maybe you had a father figure who saw this, you're going to stand up to your girl for the first time because you finally have had enough. You genuinely have had enough. It's not game. You genuinely have had enough. And you stand up to her and you realize, I would rather be alone than deal with this this lack of peace that you're bringing me. And when you do so, this crazy thing happens because you think it's over, and now she has never been more attracted to you. And it is so fucking confusing, because then you look back and you're like, what was I doing for the last 25 years? Holy shit. Really, if I had just maintained some level of a boundary, then all of a sudden this thing that she told me she didn't want is actually the thing that made her the most attracted to me. And so that's the conundrum for us. In the end, if men can lead and women can follow, then in general, that's way better for a relationship.
But pick a man that can lead.
Yes.
Can I piggyback off of that?
Yes.
Agreed.
Yeah. I think a lot of women get really like super emotional about like throwing that narcissism word around, like, you're a narcissist,
and
you hate women. And it's like, I've never seen like you guys podcast. My daughter's dad watches you, so I've heard it in the background, but I didn't really know. I just know what people say, but I was like, okay, I'm going to receive them as who they are today and what I see. And I don't, and some people even think the same about them, but I don't see women hater at all. I see, because I feel like the same way you hold women accountable, you are saying the same thing about simps too. You're not like saying all men are great. Yeah, you're not saying all men are great. Like simps are things up too. Like men need to be men and women be women, and I respect that and I get that, and I think that's lost on a lot of women because we hear something and it feels like an attack, and it's like, no, they're saying fuck the simps too. So
you want to know why?
Get that.
Because women are the real. Yeah. I'll explain to you. During the course of this conversation, we've stated many times, this is a general fact. This is an objective fact in the general. And most of the women internalized it, felt attacked. Like Danny, for example, you weren't even talking to her.
I didn't even look at her.
She internalized it. A couple of the girls, especially the girls that got kicked out, they internalized it, got angry, and then were like, well, what the fuck, blah, blah, blah. Because what ends up happening, right, if I were to say here with the guys, most guys are fucking fat losers. Now, one guy's going to start an argument with me. They're going to say, yeah, you're fucking right.
Hey, man, that's not cool, bro.
Yeah, they're not going to say something stupid like do, which is say, not all men are like that. Like, no, they understand objective reality, and in general, most guys are, and they're okay with that. But with women, if I make a criticism of females, they immediately attribute it to themselves, and then they respond as if I'm talking to them. That's a narcissistic trait, by the way. And the thing is that the other reason, too, why I say are far more narcissistic than men are, is because you guys have to be. You have to be extremely vain. You have to worry about your looks. You have to maintain your beauty as much as you can because that's your primary agency. So if we were to sit there and like take 100 men and 100 women, I guarantee you a larger majority of the female are going to be narcissists than the men.
By far.
Not even close. So whenever girls say, he's a narcissist, blah, 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 I like kind of laugh because I'm like, well, most women are.
Yeah, like you're the narcissist.
Yeah.
You can't go outdoors without painting your face. Stop it. You'll risk your life to get bigger breasts or bigger butt. Like you'll risk dying for that. Like come on.
It's crazy because and it's the number one thing I notice when talking with women versus talking with men. We've interviewed almost 3,000 girls. The number one thing, biggest difference is when I say something objectively, women attribute it to themselves. When I say things objectively, men are able to look outside the box and be like, you're correct about that. I might not agree with it. I don't like it, but it is true. And they will not attribute it to themselves. That's the biggest difference when I communicate with them.
You kind of tell on yourself when you pipe up and you're like, it's,